Hi and welcome to today. I'm Amanda and I'm taking you on my 31 days of essential tools and supplies. My essential tools and supplies may be different from yours, but today we're going to be playing with. So let's get started. Well, hello and welcome to another day, and we're looking at, if you're new to the series, it's 31 Art Studio Essentials, and these are the things that are essential for me because I utilise them as a mixed media artist in different aspects of my work. And I guess it's kind of grown. It definitely has grown over the years. There's other things that I find interesting to work with, materials and supplies. And whenever I buy something new, I want to know that I can use it across the board, whether it's working with paper, card, fabric, you know, wood, in assemblage art or collage or whatever it is, that it can be used across the board. And so one of the things that I do, which I showed you in the last in the video with the buttons, is that, you know, sorting is one of the ways in which I help steady my mind, focus or whatever, you know, the collecting, not collecting, but the organising. Again, I found some good containers which can hold these things in, but it doesn't, you can't see them, you have to take them out, open it. And so from time to time it's a good idea, for me, I find a good idea to be able to sort things in colour order usually, but not everything is. So depending on what it is, it's normally sorted in colour order, and then maybe type of material that it is. So like with these are my glass beads. So there's a range of different type of beads. It isn't just, you know, the same sort of type. So the way that I collect my beads is that initially I went out and brought a load. So we're talking years and years ago. I went out and brought a load. Or if I buy a necklace, say something like this, and I find for whatever reason it breaks and I'm not able to repair it, or I decide I want to use the beads for something else, then that's what I will do. I just want to put it on a surface that you will be able to see it better. Actually, let me just use the lid of this. So something like this necklace I went out and brought. This was a necklace that broke. No, this was a necklace that broke. So there are several pieces, but the rest of these I brought them individually or as, you know, in groups of 5 or whatever. And I was attracted to the glass beads because I used to the bigger ones, especially these ones. These ones go back, like, yeah, you're talking when I was in my 20s, and that was years ago. And I used to put beads in my hair. I used to plait my hair and use these. That's my first introduction to beads. I would put them in my hair. So the red, green and gold, I was rocking it back then. With these beads. And then the same shop, I found these. I found that these were too heavy as beads for the hair, so I just experimented with a lot of the smaller ones. So this set here was my first introduction to beads, and I found a store in Soho, and they used to have an amazing array of beads, and I just kind of collected over the years. The other thing, as I said, I did was that I would buy necklaces, not initially looking for bead material, but just I like the necklace, and over the years it's like, you know, it's something that I didn't wear, and then I thought, this actually, as a mixed media artist, this would look really nice in a piece with the wooden bits, with the wooden beads. So then what would happen is that I go to places. Let me just put these back in here. Very noisy, aren't they? So then I found, like, I wanted to make necklaces, my own necklaces, and so I found these. I brought these at it's a place called Hobbycraft, but and that's where the jewellery phase kind of, let me just show you, because you can't really see it from there. Look how pretty. Look how pretty these are. So especially these ones, I brought them specifically to use in these two. I brought some others, the same type, but I wanted to use them in making jewellery. And then I realised it's not that I want to make jewellery, I want to use jewellery pieces and jewellery materials in the work that I'm doing, which then was, you know, okay, it's mixed media. So these are the more recent in the last, say, 5 or 6 years. I stopped going out and specifically buying beads because I found that, you know, I wasn't going to utilize them in the way that I wasn't going to utilize them, and you can find beads in so many other places. So one of the things that I did, which I showed you in the other video, was that, you know, there are items of clothing, so look out for items of clothing, you know, old jewellery. Go to your thrift store and see if you can pick up some. And this is what I did with these. My, what's it called? Oxfam, local Oxfam. So where my mother used to live, what I would do was, before she would come home, say like 4 o'clock from the daycare centre. So what I would do is I would go to my local Oxfam and they would sell these bags of beads and jewellery, and the jewellery I'll show you in another video. These bags, and it was just like, oh my goodness. And so then when you would open it, you would be delighted to see so many different varieties, and even things that, like, I wouldn't necessarily go out. I mean, these are pretty. So if you think to yourself, this was a necklace or something, and I just took the necklace apart, but the bag cost me like £6 maybe. So I don't know, translate that into wherever you're watching this from, but £6, $8, dependent on whether it's US or Belgium would be, so it's about $12. So I wouldn't go out and spend, I wouldn't go out and buy these individually. If you were to go out and buy these, rather, there would be a lot more than when I brought them in a bag. You didn't know what you were getting, but there were some really lovely surprises as well. So these were a nice surprise, and things like these beads were a nice surprise that can be utilised. And what other ones? These, I guess they're not really big. Well, they're not really big. They're just kind of larger beads. But again, they're so pretty. These, yeah, obviously not beads, but these were in the kind of bag, and this was a belt. But I would utilise this not as, like, I guess you could use it as a button. But again, I would utilise this in a, say, making a piece of jewellery or earrings or some of these unusual types. There's so much more that you can do with them, so it's worthwhile going to your charity or thrift store and finding out what they have. So that, they're not beads, they're just charms. Again, you know, these were all in the bag from the charity store. I went several times. I became addicted to, that would be one of my, not daily, I think a weekly, over say 6 months, I went kind of weekly, and it was actually such a really nice addition to my day, because, you know, obviously as a carer, well, it's not obvious, but as a carer, my whole time was taken up with focusing on looking after mum and, you know, seeing to her needs and making sure that she was, you know, her health and well-being were looked after. And I was able to then, you know, just go into the charity store and finding a bag of beads, that what I would do when I came back, whilst I waited for her, is I would take them all out and put them on a piece of cloth. I would wash them and then let them dry on a piece of cloth, and then I would spend my time just kind of looking at each one and thinking, oh, what would I do with that, you know, and looking at it. And the ones that, because you get an assortment in this bag, the ones that I didn't particularly want, I'd rebag it and take it back and just donate it back to the charity store, you know, for somebody else. Somebody else could find something that they were interested in. And, you know, like, you know, buying these individually would cost a lot more money than, you know, the bag that I brought. This is a piece of jewellery, but here's another bead. But they're so pretty, and you know, you can do so much with them as jewellery pieces, or in a mixed media piece, you know, embellishment or what have you, which my brother was saying. Again, these were, I mean, most people recognise these beads, but these beads, I think they colour them because the colour wears off. But I would, you know, find a few of these. I think I found a couple in a bag, or I might have brought these years and years ago. But if I wasn't going to wear it, I just cut it and then utilise these beads in a project. And I'll show you how I've done that. The only other thing that I wanted to show you, okay, yeah, so these are kind of necklaces with beads that, you know, you can separate the findings from them and then utilise them in other projects, and the colours are so pretty. So again, this was in one of the bags. I didn't go out and, well, I did buy it, but it was a large collection of bags. I'm really looking forward to showing you the, oh yeah, let me show you these. I'm really looking forward to showing you the jewellery. So again, some of the beads were just so unusual. It was just like, wow, so pretty. So, you know, things like, let me just come in a bit, you know, like these. I had a group of beads that were all the kind of similar in the, you know, like say green or whatever. And so I just put them together and used them in projects. And I made kind of like, you know, some earrings and things like that. And where the pattern repeated, you were then able to, or I was then able, not you, to make sort of like, you know, this is just one. I can't remember where the other earring is, but where you would get a pattern of beads, I would separate them at a particular point where it would look like, you know, this is a really pretty earring, and then I would then add the findings and make, repurpose it, you know, which is what it's all about. So if you're not going to add it to clothing, you know, buy some new findings and make your own jewellery or assemblage art. Or let me show you what I've done on the journal. So again, the journals, some of the journals that you've seen, I've added beads in, some beads here. So these were some of the beads that are from the kit, not the kit, but are from a bag full of, you know, just random pieces. So this is really pretty. What I'm going to do is just reattach it again so it's not so floppy. But I really like, you know, this would have made a really nice earring as well. Where else? On here, paper beads. So you can make your own paper beads. I've made loads of paper beads over time, and added it to projects. Paper beads, more paper beads here. That are very easy to make. And then beads that, you know, most of my projects, so this is my gratitudes journal, and I used a lot of the seed beads. There's some seed beads on here, and then just some smaller beads. And these beads over here on this particular side, I guess you would call vintage, because they're over, let me see, over 30 years old. These particular ones. Got some cowrie shells here, got some wooden beads here, some more cowrie shells, and then some beads that I would have utilised, say, you know, a good 20-30 years, where I would, you know, put them in my hair or whatever. The only thing about the glass beads is that they do break, so you have to be careful. Yeah, so that's another way that I would have utilised the beads in my journal projects. As I say, like the buttons, I haven't really used the beads. I haven't used the beads on clothing, but I have made jewellery with the beads. And what you can see here are some handmade beads that I was experimenting with. There's a product called Powertex, and it hardens fabric, and I've been creating a lot of my figures, and some of the projects you may have seen over time. If you go back in some of my Tutorial Tuesday projects, and so I would have made my own beads. I have made my own beads. I haven't yet used them in projects, but I put these together because I wanted to make some earrings out of these, or some necklaces, or some, I've got some project ideas. And this is, what is it? This is all recycled material. So, and I made some round beads, my own round beads, and this, and then painted it. I guess this wouldn't be classed as a bead, just decoration. Anyway, but yeah, these are some beads. These are beads, and they're very lightweight for using in projects. So there's several things. Again, you can. Oh, I forgot these. These are, you know, do they call them bugle beads? Again, seed beads, I would call them. And yeah, so I would have brought these from my local store. When I buy these, the smaller ones, especially when I'm creating a fabric journal, because I do like, so like with this, it's got covered in beads here, and so I showed you the paper beads, so you got the long beads here, but that is a really working with beads on fabric, I find it a really soothing activity, because they're so small. You have to be mindful about what you're doing, and so it helps you to focus, and it just kind of gives you that space. That's what I find anyway, with these small beads, because then you're just, you know, you have to be so careful. So that's why I would buy. These are probably the only beads now that I've kind of just gone out and brought, because I use them a lot in some of the embroidery. Not embroidery, I don't do embroidery, but the fabric wall hangings that I make. I guess would you call it embroidery? Anyway, yeah, so that's my beads so far. I've got so many more beads than this, but I just wanted to show you a small selection and how they all came about. And I hope that you found that useful. I hope you found, you know, just looking at a small selection, and how I've kind of, you know, either brought them or you know, going and finding clothes that have got beads and cut them off. Go to your thrift store. Go to your thrift store. Don't just go to a normal store. And because you will get them at a really reasonable price. So yeah, I hope that's been of use to you, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I will show you some pictures of some of the other beads, but yeah, that's it for now. These are some of the favourite and the stories behind it. Alright, so look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, and yeah, let me know how, if you do use beads, how you use them, and how you use them to help give you those moments where you need to just focus and relax. You need some time for yourself. Do you use them in that way? And, you know, link to any projects that you've done. I'd love to be able to see what you're doing. All right, so I shall see you tomorrow. Take care for now. Bye.